Hello everyone, Calling Toulouse is this weekend and we just had Calling Montreal, so I thought let's go over how I prepare for a tournament and talk a bit about the last week in general. So first of all, I want to pat myself on the back because this was the meta game for Calling Montreal. As you see, Arachne most represented, Verdance, Acilio, Dasheo, KO, Fi, Gravy, Syndra. We'll get to that. And this was the tier list I made last week. As you can see, Mario, Verdance, Acilio, Dasheo, KO, Fi. So I was actually pretty surprised I had it completely correct for the expected metagame. So also to criticize myself a little bit, it isn't the day 2 conversion rate, which is usually what's a bit more important, I think, when you're looking at the real strengths of a hero. But still, I was pretty surprised to have predicted all these 6 correctly. So that was pretty nice. Now let's look at the actual conversion rate. As you can see, Mario did pretty well. 10 went to day 2, 31% conversion rate. KO had 8, so it's like almost half of the KOs converted. And these can be a bit skewed since some of them, like Prism, there were 6 Prisms, 3 of them made day 2, so it's a 50% conversion rate, but because the data sample is a bit smaller, might not mean as much. But yeah, that's to the side a little bit. How do you prepare for a tournament? So why I think these tier lists and these conversion rates are so important is that it gives you a gist of what the metagame will look like. Since if you want to go to a tournament, you need to know who you're going to face, of course, right? So if you know who you're going to face, then you know what to target and what to, how to make your deck to play well into those decks you're likely going to see. So that's why I like to make a tier list myself first when a new meta emerges, so you can easily see what is strong and how you should build your deck. And now it will not always be correct. That's the nature of a new meta game. Is like you can be very wrong, but I wasn't this time. So that was pretty nice. But meta games change, so you need to adapt. And Calling Montreal, some stuff happened, like Vincent came out to be a very strong deck. The new card, Deep Recesses of Existence, which is a RuneGate card that costs 4, and if the combat chain closes for each hero that took damage, you can banish a card from their graveyard. So Vincent will banish their own Coil and play it again. So it's that seemed to be a very strong card, and June did very well with Vincent. So that's a new development you should look at. But yeah, I make a tier list first. So let's go to over the base. Like if you can't make a tier list, you can just look at other people's opinions and see what you trust and what you think is a bit similar to yours. And then what I usually do is try to find the best deck. And it might sound a bit easy. It's like, first, try to find the best deck, right? But trying to find the best deck is actually way more important than you might think for a tournament. I would say, as a competitive player, finding the correct deck, or like the best deck, is maybe the most important thing of all. Like, you can, of course, pick a deck that is slightly weaker, but if you want to increase your odds of winning a tournament, the most important thing you should do is just trying to find the best deck. And this is also something I tell to players that are specialists or just stick with one hero a lot. Like, you can do that, of course, if you want an edge of like your opponent not knowing your cards, or they don't have a lot of they don't know the matchup very well, right? But I think the biggest edge you can gain by far is playing the best cards, the best deck overall. So what I'm doing for every tournament I go to, the main thing on my mind is what is the best deck. And yeah, you might be scared of this because the best deck might be a class you don't really play often. Like, I had it before that the best deck was Gravy Bones, and I wasn't a board state player at all. Like, I never played Droma, I never played Illusionist. But yeah, Gravy was the best deck, so I either had to not play the best deck or I had to adapt to it. So that's when preparation is the most important. This is best done a few weeks before a tournament. What I would do is just pick a deck you're not feeling comfortable on and just run a few games on Teleshar, right? Teleshar, super low stakes, like it doesn't matter what you do. You can just click away, you can just see what the hero does. You can even practice against the bot to see how certain hands line up. And that's what I did with Gravy Bones when I didn't know him very well. And that's what I did before this tournament with Acilio. I never played Acilio, so I don't know how to play him at all. And I always said, like, okay, I'm gonna learn him at some point. But now it seems to be that Acilio is a very good choice. So it's almost kind of bad if you don't know how to play him. And the other positive from doing this is that you also learn how the hero plays when piloting it yourself. So that makes it so you know how to pilot against it better, because you have seen the hands it can draw. It's not only that, but also like the feeling in a game. You get more of a feeling when you've played the hero itself. You know when a hero is weak. You know when a hero is strong. So that really helps a lot. It cannot hurt. And I'll always try to say this to one-tricks and to people that are specialists. Please try at least once to just play the best deck and see how it goes. Because it's the best way to increase your win rate percentage. So yeah, if you have correctly assessed what is the best deck, like I think for this meta game it was Mario. So I've been playing Mario a ton, right? And what will I do? I will just play games into the expected meta game. So I played a lot into Verdance, I played a lot into Acilio, I played a lot of Mirrors, just because I think in the calling where I'm going, those will be matchups that I'm gonna encounter a lot. So I will play them a lot. So yeah, that's just the first part that I wanted to say. Like, what can you do to prepare for a tournament? So another thing that is very important when you're trying to find the best deck is that you stay open to new information. Like, you can lock on a deck 2 weeks beforehand. Like, if I were to lock on a deck 2 weeks beforehand, I would have locked Mario and not think about it anymore. But of course, Flesh and Blood has developments. So Calling Montreal is a very practical example of what happens in this metagame. And we saw the conversion rates, and we saw here was the top 8, so we see what heroes did well. So yeah, let's just talk a bit about this. Yeah, you see, to Acilio, which makes sense. Dio, KO, Fi made it. Vincent, I think, went like undefeated or only had one loss. And then a Fatigue Ira, Dorinthia. So what is important when you look at results like this is that you don't immediately go like, okay, so Ira is maybe top 5 deck, or Dorinthia is maybe a top 5 deck. You kind of have to know the context and the matchups to come to that conclusion. Like, if I see this top 8, I would just think like, okay, Ira was kind of a Fatigue Ira build that definitely with the right matchups can win some games. The guy, of course, played very well, obviously. But I wouldn't straight away change my whole tier list accordingly. It's also a calling is still, it's maybe sounds weird, it's still like a kind of a small sample size. Even a whole run, it's not. It's like, how many rounds was this? I think this was 12 rounds, right? So it's 12 rounds and it paints a picture of what's strong, of course, but it doesn't tell anything. or tell everything. So what I would take away from this tournament specifically is, okay, Vincent did well. And you can get more of a feeling from this by just not looking only at the top 8, but also looking at the top 16 or even like top 32. So what you see here is that Mario did kind of do well. Jacob Clemens made 10th, just barely missed out on top 8. Jacob Gladman also did well with Marionette. So Marionette isn't a bad pick, obviously. It was just one win shy of making top 8. KO we see doing well. Gravy Bones apparently still a good pick because Jimmy Neurodamers made top 16 with it. Then we see a few more Osilios, so this is kind of interesting. We see 4 Osilios in top 16. That's a huge number, right? And we see another Vincent got 17th, another Vincent got 15th. So it wasn't only June who did well. It's just that Vincent in general might be a good deck. And then you look at the deck list and you can just kind of see, okay, what did Vincent gain? She got the Grimoire. Of course, very good. Like, one rune chant could be the difference between not sending any rune gate or sending exactly the rune gate, which is like a huge difference, right? So yeah, makes sense that she got a big upgrade. And then the card which I spoke about at the start, Deep Recesses of Existence. This card has heavily overperformed in this meta because if you face Mario, if you face Osilio, getting a Cull is very good in an aggro race. So overall, what I would conclude is, okay, Vincent is a real threat. Verdance, although the conversion rate was quite high, kind of seemed to underperform. But then if you look at the stats on Fablazing, great site by the way, definitely recommend using it. And you take a look at the Calling Montreal, you can, like, some things surprise me a bit here. It's like Osilio Verdance apparently Verdance had a 43% win rate into Osilio. I mean, in my experience, Verdance is really good into Osilio. And if you try to fatigue Osilio with like AB5, I think even for very good Osilios, that's hard to overcome by pitch stacking or like setting up. It's extremely hard, even if they're playing 3 amulets. So it takes some confidence to like, and that's maybe a hard part about Flash as well. It takes some confidence to look at some data and say, nah, that data is not correct, right? Because who am I to decide what is correct and what is not? But the more you do it, the more you get a feel for what's maybe a bit of an outlier and maybe should be correct. So if this is also the case in Toulouse, maybe I'm wrong, right? You don't know. But for this, I would say, okay, this is a bit weird. I think this should be way higher. Then some other things. Verdance against Gravy. That seems still very bad. Also weird. Verdance against Vincent. I wouldn't say Verdance is bad into Vincent, because historically Verdance does very well versus Vincent because she can AB a lot. Like, Vincent tries to attack every turn with a rune gate attack, so you can convert your hands very well, which is normally a problem for Verdance. So I'm also a bit sus of that. And even though the data isn't in my favor, I would say 49%, I don't really agree with it. So I would still stick with my guns that Verdance isn't very good. Now 5, for example, and this is, I said last video that I kind of didn't believe Fi was that strong of a deck. He's of course a contender, he made top 8 in Montreal, right? But here I'm seeing like, okay, 14% win rate into Arachnivar Marionette. There were 7 matches, but there's like a lot of red here, right? And a lot of good players on Fi, like Michael Jesker, didn't really do well day 2. That to me gives a little bit of an alarm bell feeling. It's like, okay, there might be something going on there. Anyway, it's been a bit chaotic so far, but to make it more clear, I just made my tier list again. I still think Mario is the best deck. I think Verdance should just have done better. It doesn't really make sense as to why she didn't do as well. And then I think Ocilio is still up there at S tier. Like what I maybe could see, and it's all dependent on Vincent. What I maybe could see is Ocilio moving here, or even moving here. Like I could see something like this, because the data doesn't speak in my defense here, because there were 4 out of 16 Ocilios in top 16. But I could maybe see something like this. So yeah, back to my choice. Why do I choose Mario? So I still think into the general meta game, Mario does very well. He just does a very strong thing. And how you want to prepare for the tournament is you also want to try to adapt to what people are doing versus you. And for example, Mario I think is favored into Verdance. But lately I've been seeing that people are really heavily denying the Graphene Chelicera, like the weapon or the dagger that costs 1. And that kind of enables your whole deck, since it's a stealth card, since it only costs 1, so you can only pitch your red for it. And then your attacks are usually on rate. I'm noticing way more people not attacking you, or like not easily giving you the Graphene. And by not attacking, you don't get to block with Mask, you don't get to transform into Orb Weaver. And especially against Verdance, that's annoying because they can send Arcane and they don't attack you. So that is annoying because sometimes you then have to pitch 2 reds for a Hunter's Glaive. So why am I saying this? This is the thing that I mean with open to new information. If you notice Verdance is doing this, maybe you need more ways to make a Graphene, for example. Maybe you need a way to adapt, because if you notice this strategy being used for the first time in calling Toulouse, then I am doomed, right? Because I didn't know about it before, and now when it matters, I get got by it. Same thing for Vincent. I think Vincent is a bad matchup for Mario. And the thing that I noticed, especially in European callings, is that people really look at the results of previous callings. So because Vincent did very well in Montreal, I expect a lot more Verdance than or a lot more Vincent than normal at calling Toulouse. So I would definitely adapt to this. Like, it might seem a bit like, oh, it was only last week. It doesn't really matter. I can still lock on my old hero. But no, you should really take new information seriously. Because it's very impactful for a tournament. Like, people that want to win the tournament try to adapt quickly to new information to get an edge. So I would say it's definitely important. There's the rest of the tier list as I made it. Made Gravy go up a little bit. Huntsman did pretty well, so like I don't think a lot of it changes. KO of course had an extremely high conversion rate. I definitely think he's still good, but I don't know. There's just something in me that tells me he's not S tier. Because I just hear a lot of people say like, oh, I discarded the Blood Rush, I discarded the Tear Limb from Limp or whatever, and then they just lose. I just hear a lot of those bad beat stories, which makes me think there's like a hidden layer of variance in that hero that I just don't want to be a part of. So yeah, I would still do this, but yeah, if Verdance were to be favored into Mario, if there were to be more Vincents, then my Mario choice is gonna be a little bit more suspicious, right? So yeah, I would take that into account. But yeah, it's not only that finding the best deck is that gives the biggest edge. It's also you want to find the best 80 cards every tournament. There is a theory that every tournament has the objectively correct 80 cards, and you just have to find them. So personally, what I'll do now is, because I notice, okay, Verdance can do some different strategy versus me. Alcidio does actually seem to be as strong as expected. I can just add cards for those specific matchups that make the matchup better. So for example, what I'll do now is I'll play 3 Amulets versus Alcidio. It's not only good against Alcidio, but also against Vincent, because it's an extra blue that I can pitch for the Rune Chance. So yeah, personally, I hope this video was a bit chaotic, but I was really trying to still find a nice subject to talk about, and I kind of wanted to combine everything into one. Anyway, conclusion. What I would do for Calling to Lose, I would still play Mario. I simply think he has a shot against any hero. Like, of course, Vincent came in the meta game. Alcidio is still not that favored. But yeah, I would still pick Mario in this example. Anyway, that was it. I hope to see a lot of you in Calling to Lose, and I'm really curious how the expected metagame will be, if I'm correct again or not. But yeah, that was this week's video. I hope you guys enjoyed a bit more chaotic video. But see you guys next week.